Good morning to my beautiful subscribers. I'm Keon, and I typically do not entertain the gas versus diesel conversation because it's played out and it's old, and people talk about it all the time. However, Donnell Wood, my main man, AARVC, he posed a question that I'm actually going to entertain because he said something that was really deep and is worth the conversation. So today we're going to talk about entry-level diesel versus high-end gas coach. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, as he pointed out, there is a price difference between the two. But the question is, are you getting something different other than the motor? And that question we're going to answer today. I'm actually going to tag him in on a conversation later because there's going to be a part 2 to this where we're going to have a dialogue, hopefully. I think he's agreed to that. And so, again, let's dive into the gas versus diesel, high-end gas, entry-level diesel. And that's as far as we're going to take it. Hang out with me for a few minutes and we're going to dive right into it. Okay, so you've decided to enter into this world of RVing, and you've decided that you're going to go with a Class A coach, which is the bus style coach. I camp in a 2005 Fleetwood Discovery with a 330 Cat, and there are so many varieties of coaches out there. I used to camp in a Fleetwood Bounder with a V10 Ford motor on their chassis. So, fast forwarding, there is this myth that all coaches are equal. Well, they're not. And that's the first thing that we need to identify when we start comparing gas to diesel, high-end gas, entry-level diesel. Okay? Every manufacturer is not creme de la creme. I'm not going to pick on any manufacturers in this. You got to do your homework and figure out what's best for you. If you slide me in the comments a question, I might answer it, but I'm not going to put brand against brand. You got to do your homework to figure out what your interpretation of high end and entry level is. My interpretation is very generic. In 2022, the game has changed. Everybody is competing for this little niche in the market that there's no such thing as high-end gas or entry-level diesel anymore. There used to be a time where you had like stepping stones. So you had like a basic gas short coach all the way up to like a 36 foot, but the motor and the power plant was the same on all of them. The only difference was the interior. Same thing with diesel. They used to do that, but with cost being what it is to manufacture, it's not worth it anymore. You just need to produce a product that has floor plans available, but everything is going to be pretty much on the same chassis with a very similar power plant. So in this case, I have an XC Freightliner chassis, which is pretty much in a lot of stuff out there. The only other two chassis available in the diesel now might be a Spartan or a Roadmaster, and Freightliner pretty much is number one. That it's number one in what's out there. It's like the Ford power plant. It is the number one most used diesel platform. They have raised rail. Mine is not raised rail. So when my slides come out, my boxes come with it. It's pretty standard. So let's remove the high end or low end out of it for a moment and focus on what you're getting. So in a gas coach these days, You're going to get that Ford power plant. Now I believe it's a V8. And I'm assuming it's an Allison transmission. That's what they went to in the early 2000s. Prior to that, they had 4R100 4-speeds, which were okay, but I'm glad they went to the Allisons. So a gas coach is going to give you 360 horses, roughly 400 and maybe 20 pounds of torque. And that motor, brand spanking new, $8,000 maybe. Transmission, $5,000. Total power plant, I'm going to say $15,000 to $20,000, depending on where you are in the country. Now, take that chassis, you build it up, you're looking at $150,000, maybe $160,000 coach. Now, you're also talking about a coach that has a max out of about 26,000 pounds as far as gross combined vehicle weight, meaning the weight of the motorhome and whatever you're towing is about 26 and some change. Now, at 36 feet, that's going to give a family of 4 plenty of room. No issue whatsoever. You're going to have nice amenities these days. You're going to have nice features. You might even come out with like a washer and dryer or something like that. You're going to have electric awnings. You're going to have some decent stuff. So then the question comes, well, if you can get that in a $160,000 coach, why step up to the next level and entry level at a diesel? The reason is twofold. Power plant and weight. An entry-level diesel. So let's pick on Fleetwood's Bounder, because that to me would be at that time that they made it entry-level. You're getting a Freightliner chassis over the Ford chassis. It drastically takes what you can tow and double it. 5,000 behind the original Bounder. At one time it was 3,500, but let's say 5,000 to almost 10,000 pounds of towing capacity. You're also getting bigger tires, bigger brakes, everything to support that towing weight. The gas coach is not going to give you that. And I'm going somewhere with this. Bear with me. An entry-level diesel is going to give you the same amenity as that high-end gas coach. You're going to have pressed wood. You're going to have wood countertops. You're not going to have the finest leather. You're going to have, inexpensive leather. Your flooring is not going to be hot. Like, you're not going to get any of that in a starter diesel. However, the price difference between that $160,000 to that diesel is $75,000. So why is that? Well, think about something. $20,000 Ford motor and transmission combination, $60,000 diesel motor, $15,000 transmission, give or take. I'm saying give or take. So you're looking at the cost of the motor. That's the difference in price. Amenity-wise, there is really none. You don't start seeing amenity-wise until you get up into your mids. Now, this is a mid-level coach. A mid-level coach gives you real leather furniture. A mid-level coach gives you full granite countertops. And actually, this was a fluke because technically this was only available in your high-end diesels at a while. And when I say I have full granite, I'm talking nice, thick granite. Not too heavy, not too thin. You're going to get electric toilets when you get into the mid and the high. You're going to get larger shower, more space, an additional slide. Yeah, you're going to get that in your mids and you're going to pay $350 for that. But at that $200,000 price range, you're going to get the same thing amenity-wise as you're going to pay in that $140,000, $150,000 gas coach. Because they're virtually the same platform, except the chassis is different and the motor is in the back. That is how they control price. So let's talk about this. Price points is how they do this. Somebody that technically is coming out of another coach into a low-end diesel, let's call it that, you're going to probably pay closer to that $160,000, $170,000 if you got enough equity in what you're trading. which is why they did that, so that you could move to that and be at a comfortable price point for that note that you got to stroke every month. That's the only reason why they did that. For the people who wanted something different, of course, you have your mid, and they did the same thing in the gas coaches. It's just that now that the market is so far advanced and they're fighting for so much, there is no mid-level. And the truth be told, there really is no mid-level diesels anymore. Everybody is making 40 foot, 45 foot, you got a tag or no tag, and the options inside change, but everything else in the platform of the coach is the exact same thing. You're paying for what's in it. So let me kind of put all of this together and recapitulate. If you're going to spend $160,000 on a gas coach, save your money and get into the diesel world if you can afford it, and if you absolutely need it. If you don't need it, do not waste your time and money. Go ahead and pick that gas up, because they're going to go the same places. You're going to camp in the same way. The only difference is whether or not you prefer spending $60,000 on a platform, a motor combination, motor and transmission combination that you may or may not want to maintain, or you want the simplicity of taking your car to the Ford dealership and letting them be able to handle it. Because once you cross into that diesel world, life gets different. Not everybody can climb under your coach and fix it. And chances are parts are going to take you days to get, whereas you can go buy Ford parts at 7-Eleven. It is a very difficult decision and a very difficult conversation to have. However, entry-level diesel, the only thing that you're getting different from that gas coach is the motor and your power plant. Everything else is pretty much going to be along the same par. It's not until you get up into the $350,000, $400,000 range that things start to change. Hopefully that helps. And then when I get my man in here, we can get into some particulars. But this is just a broad spectrum or a broad interpretation of what I believe you're going to get between a high-end gas like a Georgetown XL or something like that, some of the Newmars, versus a Discovery or I forget what Newmar, Ventana or whatever. You know, you're not getting much different. So hopefully, like I said, that answers some questions. And then when I can get my man in here, we could talk a little bit more about what the differences are and whether that $60,000 to $70,000 price range is worth it. Talk to you real soon. Thanks for hanging out with me.